So ACC realignment expansion talk is waning a little bit. We're going to close the loop here. 3 days worth of talking about what we find. We've had some comments from you guys that we're going to sound off on and read through and talk about because some of y'all are in our heads about things and some of y'all are right on track. So we want to make sure that we have it. Also, former North Carolina Tar Heel Caleb Love has decided to decommit from Michigan. We'll talk about the reasons why. All of that happened on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the channel from an audio space, as well as our YouTube channel. We have over 1,000 followers, but 2,000 is even better, and we are on the road to that. Kenton is here to talk with us about Caleb Love, a little ACC realignment and expansion, and just at the end of the day, wrapping up in a pretty bow, all of your fun comments that you've given us over the past couple days with expansion talks. So where shall we start, if you will, Mr. Gibbs?
Oh, you pick. You know what I mean? We could start anywhere. These are all great topics to get into today. There is a ton of juicy gossip and nonsense going on around the ACC because let's just be honest, 90% of this is just gossip at this point in time and nobody really knows what's going on. But let's feel our way through the smoke together.
So as it stands, a big breaking news, Caleb Love decommitting from Michigan after spending quite some time with the North Carolina Tar Heels. If anyone knows, he is infamously a part of Tar Heel history as he was the one who allegedly, maybe figuratively, actually literally sent Coach K and the boys home during a Final Four between North Carolina and Duke, one of the greatest games you will ever witness. Mark Williams, if he only had one more inch of hand, he could have blocked his three-pointer. We'd be talking about a different scenario. Caleb is going to Michigan no longer, but where will he end up still remains to be seen. Some people were saying bring him on back to North Carolina. Not happening. Not going to Michigan was an interesting call, as you read on the social spheres, but it wasn't because of any basketball-related reasons, but more of an admissions decision.
Yeah, I don't know the full story here. I just know that as reported by John Fanta of Fox Sports, North Carolina basketball transfer Caleb Love has decommitted from the Michigan program and did not have the necessary academic credits to transfer to Michigan. And, it's an unfortunate situation. That's just, I don't know what else to say about it. It is an unfortunate situation. I hope that this doesn't impact this young man's career in any significant way. Hopefully he finds a landing spot that he does fit the academic standards for. And that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is disappointing to hear someone have to put their dreams on hold when it comes to just being a student athlete and trying to get the ball rolling. But ultimately, hopefully he gets himself back on track wherever he lands, maybe at Missouri, which is hometown for him, or, a smaller school, and maybe it's a place like a big hoop state school like Indiana. Who knows? A lot of rumors around where he will end up, but hopefully it's one that fits him and not only him excelling from an athletic standpoint, but an academic one as well. So just want to update you guys on that. He is not coming back to North Carolina. That is absolutely not. Him and Hubert Davis did not have the best exit interviews. So don't have to worry about Caleb returning to the Tar Heels as if they wanted him anyway after all that hoopla. Let's get to the meat of it. The fun parts. We have spent the past couple of days talking about realignment and expansion, and we've had the joy of reading some of your comments over YouTube. And, it would be crazy not to give the people what they want, because people sometimes they want a little attention. Right, Kenton?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I want to clarify something because I don't know if I said this or actually, no, let me not say I don't know. I know for a fact I haven't said. I have sources close to this that are telling me, because there have been many misdirections. And when I've reached out to folks, I haven't gotten a clear direction one way or the other to take this thing. So I know that I haven't said on this air. I have information from insiders that are telling me that realignment is leaning this way or that way. So I need y'all to understand that. I tell you when I'm coming from sources. I tell you who the sources are, like I just did with Mr. Fanta of Fox Sports. And if it's a confidential source, I'll tell you that a source told me. But if I don't have a source, I'll say, I think, I feel, I need to hear or I need to know, because I'm asking and inquiring, which is what I did yesterday when I said, I need to know where folks are getting the money from to pay this. I need to know where this makes sense for the teams, because I'm inquiring. I need to know where this makes sense at, not telling you, hey, I got a source that told me they already worked this thing out. And this team going to the SEC, this team going. Just keep that in mind, folks. Hear me for what I'm saying, not what you think I'm saying.
Well, Kenton, it's nice to know that you are verified. We want to bring up Tom Dean's point, because you made a comment saying, what leverage do these universities have? And he said the theory is that with a majority of schools, their leverage is to vote to dissolve the conference. If the conference doesn't exist, there's no one to owe exit or grant of rights money to. Then these schools would either A, go to another conference, FSU and Clemson to SEC, UNC and UVA to the Big 10, Louisville to the Big 12, so on and so forth. Or B, form a new conference with these 8 teams and cherry pick 2 or 4 more, like a Oregon or Washington, people from the Pac-12 who are pretty much going to be looking for a home soon enough.
And I am going to say to that, and again, this is not what, I don't have a source on this, but I need you to understand this. Even if those teams were to dissolve this, in terms of the grant of rights, the ACC is the middleman. They are not the man. The ACC in and of itself does not play a single football game as an entity. The ACC's record every year is 0-0. They don't send out a team of young men who are enrolled in ACC university to play football. These universities have entered into a deal with the ACC. The ACC has entered into a deal with ESPN. These schools are de facto, even if you get rid of middleman, still in deal with ESPN. That is still what you have to work around, because again, if we're doing the basics of, well, how much money is there to make when we look at these teams, okay? If they go to the Big 10 and SEC, everybody is split half and half. Half go to the Big 10, half go to the SEC. These teams stand to make $30 million more a year each in terms of revenue shares from their current model and deal. So why haven't they done it already? If that's the case, if it were that easy and we already knew this before, why wouldn't the teams have done it before?
Fair enough.
For
sure. Another comment I want to get into, Willie, our faithful friend, said, stop with the top viewed teams list. It's faulty and skewed. Look at the teams in the top 25. Look at their conferences. Look at where their games are broadcasted. If you have Clemson versus FSU on Bally Sports and Vanderbilt versus Kentucky on CBS, there will be more views on CBS games simply because it's on CBS. Everyone has access to major networks, but fewer have access to cable networks, and even fewer have access to obscure cable networks and streaming only options. Now, this is not a representation of fan brand appeal. It's not accurate. It's inaccurately weighted by the networks.
You are arguing which came first, the chicken or the egg. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that if the ACC was crushing all these other conferences in terms of viewership, just in general, right? Just speaking about like, hey, but because I remember a time where Bally Sports wasn't a thing. Don't you remember that, Candace? Mm-hmm. Don't you remember that? Now, when Bally Sports wasn't a thing, if the ACC was rocking in such a way that was so, they were, hey, we whooping the wheels off everybody else, or we're competing right there with the SEC and the Big 10. Why didn't they go and get a deal that was comparable?
Sure. You know who the real villain is? It's really Raycom Sports. Whatever happened to my boy? Like that's the real villain. Raycom had a thing going. They had a nice little local vibe, and they just blew it. That's the real villain. Every day we found Every day we find a new villain as to why we're not, rocking and rolling here as a conference. And today, Raycom Sports just happens to be that one. But go ahead.
Well, I'm a bit of a comic book nerd, and if you have a bunch of villains ganging up, you now have rogues. And there are too many rogues that are in this situation here to think that the superhero or whoever your team is the hero in the thing here. There's too many rogues for them to come out scotch-free. I'm asking because I need to see some hardcore proof and information that confirms something, or from any reputable source saying, hey, this is what the path forward for this team is. I need to see it regardless of team, be it Florida State, be it Clemson, be it Louisville, be it NC State, be it UNC, UVA, Virginia Tech, whoever. I need to see something concrete in terms of, hey, this is the source, this is the information. I need to see it. Because the information I have just says $100 million buyout, $120 million buyout, $125 million buyout, up to $166 million buyout.
Summer is here and we're looking for a great opportunity to look great and fit, and that you can do that easily with Birddogs apparel. They have stretchy fabric that makes your legs look great, and they're comfy other than any other shorts or pants that we own around here. They give you the freedom to wear one pair of shorts, pants on the golf course, or whether to a nice dinner or even just a date or a meeting or hanging out with your friends. Make sure that you give yourself a great opportunity to just feel comfort this season. We know there's a lot going on. The summer is going to be spicy for this conference. You want to make sure you are best dressed when you're doing it and reading our news, following all of our channels. So go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. When you enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Kenton Gibbs and I are talking through some of our favorite comments of YouTube. We're reading them, throughout the show. One of the guys, my guy Dante Hall, said ACC is over as we know it. Could he be onto something? Yesterday we talked about, could Louisville be the 8th team? Slam Tana let us know that there's nothing but rumors around there, but it's nice to know that people in Louisville are watching our show on the Magnificent Seven. However, I don't see a full dismantle happening, but it's not impossible. Rumors are rumors.
I want to let you in on a very fun secret here. The team that spends the most on recruiting in the ACC is Clemson. They spend about $3 million. The team behind them is, I believe it's UNC. They spend about 1.3. The behind them is Georgia Tech spending 1.2 or 1.1, somewhere in there. There's nobody else who spends $1 million a year on recruiting. No one.
So they're not investing properly.
So here's what I'm saying. All of these teams don't have the money to spend more on recruiting, right? Because we all know that if you can spend to get great players, you're going to do so. So none of these teams have what it takes to get a great player into their university. And yet some way, somehow, we are going to pretend that, oh yeah, so what that of the 8 teams that we're talking about leaving here, so what that UVA only spends a little under $1 million on their recruiting a year? They're going to come up with 120. So what that Virginia Tech only spends about $900,000 on their recruiting? They're going to come with 120 mil. So what that NC State only spends $632,696 to be exact dollars on recruiting? They're going to come up with 120 million. That's the midpoint figure, by the way, y'all. Again, we looked at 100 million, 125, 166. So 120 to 125 is that midpoint range. You're telling me that these teams who refuse to spend $1 million on recruiting are going to pop out with 9 figures? Okay. All right. You know something I don't, I guess. And again, I'm not infallible. Maybe you do know something I don't. It's very possible. Like I said, everybody I've reached out to on this has given me very conflicting stories to where I don't feel comfortable saying I have a source that said da 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 da. So maybe y'all know something I don't here.
I think that people are just very eager about this thing, but I'm going to keep rolling through these comments because these are very spicy. We've been called delusional a couple times here, so I just want to make sure that's known that we're very delusional. But I'm gonna get to my favorite delusional comment. But first, Skint Flint 850 said, the ACC is trash and has been for a long time. Win or lose, FSU has carried the weight. Check the numbers. Ish is getting old. Bad referees every damn weekend. Let's go. Let us go. Now, I'll give him one thing. Them refs got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
The refs got some work to do. Skint,
100%.
I'm here with you. But I think every conference probably feels like their refs stink.
I have never heard of a conference or a fan base in the conference saying, hey, our officiating is the best out there.
Never
By
heard
far.
it. Not
By
once.
Far. Nobody's messed with our refereeing. They are impartial. They call the game as it's supposed to be called. And we love to see it.
Not once. Okay. Maverick said, this Candace Cooper is a bit delusional on the UNC front. They are not a huge brand like you think they are. If their football team was a lot better than what you're saying would make more sense, but it's basketball school in brand. And I just sit here to say to Maverick, I just need you to do some sports marketing research. That's all I ask. It's the NC, the locked NC carries weight. I don't want to sit here and have to preach it to you. I'm just telling you what I know. I've been to school a couple times. I've been around the ACC a little bit longer than that. I went to Wake Forest Business School. I'm not no dummy. And I like my school, don't get me wrong, but my school has a lot of problems, very much so. So I wouldn't just tell you just for telling your sake. But thank you, Maverick.
I'm gonna let you have that one since that one was addressed directly at you.
That one was addressed directly at me. All right, so let's see some other ones. FSU has brought in more revenue for the ACC every single year since they've joined the conference. Even with our recent performance, as you mentioned, they ain't been doing much. We earned more than Clemson, more than the bottom 10 schools combined. Saying FSU should eat their food is foolish because everyone's food comes directly from our table. Maybe do your homework before you insist on talking ish about our schools that literally pay your bills.
And so again, I will repeat what I said earlier in the show. Please respond to what I say, not what you think I said. In terms of brand, what did I say about FSU's brand yesterday, Candace? I want you to take, because maybe I'm, playing football for a long time. They say the CTE is a problem and we got bad memories. Candace, what did I say when it came to FSU's brand?
You said very powerful and strong. That's exactly
okay. And if I do recall, I believe I said that they were one of the brands that was actually strong enough for this to make sense for them. I believe so. I believe I said that. Okay. So when you asked me about performance in particular, which was a separate thing, which we, by the way, acknowledged, hey, this is separate. This really doesn't have anything to do with the money by and large. They should sit there and eat their food. But if we're talking brand, then in the words of the Bodega Boys, the brand is strong. The brand is undefeated. So again, I want you Noles fans, I know that there was a lot of hard feelings about, hey, sit there and eat your food. I'm talking about the on-field performance.
Yeah.
Tell me this. Where's the ACC championship to show since Jameis is gone?
Whoop, there it is. Varlon Angel said, just a thought, but isn't that $30 million gap per year? If so, over the course of the next 13 years, $30 million per year equals $390 million gap. Child, get us together, Varlon, because you are correct. $30 million a year, $390 million, close to $500 million.
And let me say this, because I don't think we addressed this. If we're talking about the future of the ACC going forward for the next 5 to 10 years, oh, absolutely, baby, that future is shaky. I mean, it is as shaky as I have ever seen a future be. This future is shakier than that little kid with the silver caps that's always biting people. You know the one. You be looking at him like
biting.
You know the one I'm talking about, the kid with the silver caps that love biting people, that you look at that little boy or that little girl like, there's a penitentiary in your future, friend. Yeah, that. I am telling you, that future is that shaky. Absolutely. But if we're talking about for right now, because people are already saying, hey, the ACC is dead. Is the ACC on the way to die? Very possibly. I'm not going to rule that out at all. I'm not going to lie to you at all in that regard. Not going to tell you that. However, are they dead right now? Are they in the grave? Baby, no. It's not. It's not, because again, this was a hasty decision that I think all of the Magnificent 7 or 8 or however many, they did not get together and say, hey, you got your 120 million ready to roll? Hey, you got your 120 million ready to roll? Hey, you got your 120 million ready to roll? Okay, everybody got their 120 million together. Let's pay the ACC this little hot little, what was it, 960 billion, and we gonna be, I'm sorry, 960 million, and we on our way out.
It's not it. Personally, I feel like it's not as one band, one sound as people think. Like, it seems cute to be a Magnificent 7. It seems funny to like be all together, but I don't think it's as unified as people say. Plus, I've heard rumors that FSU's AD ain't as mad as people think. So all I'm saying is, if they're leading the charge, FSU is just on their horse of highs these days. I just feel like I don't think it's as unified as it's being made out to be.
Yeah, and everybody keeps saying, I believe there was a report today that came out and said, hey, the ACC is unified until one team gets a better offer from another conference. Sure.
They've already done that. What are you talking about?
Whichever team gets an offer from a better conference, more power to you. More power to you. Who's going to pay the buyout? How y'all going to adjust for that? Because I know you don't want to come up with the whole 120. So the new conference is going to have to come up with some of that. I wonder which conference wants to do that for some of you schools that are not named Florida State and Clemson. And I wonder how many of the schools not named Florida State and Clemson are looking around saying, "Oh, wait a minute. Would the Big Ten really pay that for me? For little old me?" Well, I wonder. Things that make you go,
We're talking about the ACC realignment expansion news, and we're reading through YouTube comments from our friends who just have been lighting up the keyboards. Twitter fingers have gotten real crazy. Ron Lowney said, there's absolutely nothing magnificent, quote unquote, about teams in the ACC. Those teams are asking for a disproportionate revenue sharing plan and already have their eyes on the door, and it would only hurt the other schools that agree to that idea. Just like any bad relationship, let them go their own way and move on. Those that go to the Big Ten and SEC are going to get a beat down anyway. Is this a bad relationship? Are we in a bad relationship?
Well, we talked yesterday about them being in a 360 deal. Absolutely. This is we're
not talking like business relationship. Like, we're talking like straight up, are we in a very just poorly designed toxic relationship with the ACC at this point? Some of these universities.
Absolutely. If you're here's the deal. If you're one of the more watched ones, if you're one of the strong brands that all of the food comes off of our table, then yes, you're in a bad deal. Yeah, for sure. A lot of these schools are not in the best deal possible for them. A lot. And by a lot, I mean 4 to 5, potentially. I'm being very aggressive with 5. That first bar of nothing is magnificent about the ACC. Ooh, that hurt. That was. I'm trying
to say. Well, they ain't wrong.
What did the ACC do to
you? First of all, y'all act like the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12 got all these big bad schools. Everybody ain't able, okay? I'm about sick of y'all acting as if every school in them bad boys is freaking doing some shit. They ain't doing nothing. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, David. Please don't fire me. But y'all need to relax on us. Y'all need to pump y'all brakes on us.
And I would like to know wait a minute. Was there an ACC team in this last year's Final Four?
No.
Was there an ACC team in the Final Four the year before that?
Yes.
Okay, so
there was an ACC team in the national championship game.
Okay, so I'm just making sure that, we there is something. We had the Final Four this year, and I believe last year was what? That was Coach K's last year, wasn't it? Or were we looking at the year before that? Okay. So last year was Coach K's final year when there was 2 teams.
But here's the problem. We're only talking about basketball, and we all are saying that football cash is king. So
even if we talk about football, did Clemson not, even in the down year, playing the New Year's Six Bowl last year?
Just trying to say.
The year before that, we all saw Pitt with a quarterback that I had never heard of a day in my life. They were a tougher out for Michigan State than many people thought they would be.
Hello.
What are we? You know,
What are we doing? Yeah, exactly.
don't
This
get me wrong.
child.
The ACC has its problems. We have talked about those problems ad nauseum here, and we'll talk about them again in the future. But what I need folks to realize is this is not a situation where there is nothing good about the conference. There's no redeeming quality. Come on now, let's knock that off. This is still a Power 5 conference with some powerful teams.
Yeah, 100%. I think ultimately, and a good point about that someone made was who is this ultimately hurting, right? All this hoopla conversation, like when it's all said and done, if the ink ever did get dry, it is going to hurt the non-revenue sports. It's going to hurt the people that eventually Title IX is going to have to figure out some way, somehow to, iron itself out. Because if we're just looking at it as, I only want to make money, we're not going to be able to fund some of these programs, which is nutty, which is why these people, as much as Commissioner Phillips gets on my nerves sometimes, he did make a good point in that it has to be more than just revenue. Now, the Pollyanna side definitely showed itself because he needed to be a shark in that moment, but I wouldn't be where I am without my non-revenue sport education at North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's tough position because I see all sides.
I think that there is a lot going on here, and I think that this is off-season chatter taken to an extreme level. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Is this preparing us for something coming down the road for the ACC? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 100%. That I never thought we would even get to this level. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I thought the ACC would be fairly stable in all of this hoopla. I get people, and honestly, we still might be. People are entertaining conversations and all the things, but what, like you said, from the moment we had these expansion realignment conversations, somebody got to be lying.
And let me take it back to even further. Let me take it back to the original realignment conversations when Texas and OU left, and we came on this show and talked about the potential realignment. I stand by what I said then. The ACC is safe for now, but for now ain't forever.
Yeah.
Those are two different things, baby. That is a different, very different thing.
Yeah.
The ACC, I don't think we're seeing any major movement this offseason, probably not next offseason, probably not the offseason after. But I'm going to tell you this. The SEC is up for renewal for its TV contract before the ACC is up for renewal for our TV contract. The SEC is already creating a $30 million chasm. How big do you think that chasm gets?
Yeah.
In that new contract? And
especially
who do you think sits around?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who do you think sits around and waits for that chasm to hit 40, 50 million and before they make a move, before they get in on that?
Well, like the SEC is not getting worse. Alabama's not getting worse. I mean, there's going to be a time where Saban does have to retire, but who knows how that transition is going to be. Tennessee is not getting worse, right? I think you have your really good staple programs. Oklahoma might figure it out one day with, Coach Venables and all the things. Like the Big 12 will certainly rise in some sort of capacity. Texas may figure themselves out. Like all of these big name brand schools that are just getting these money. You saw Tennessee today where they might connect their little field things. And like, it's just, well, is that because there's so much money now, or they can actually figure out ways to make these sports stanchions a lot more powerful? Who knows? If ACC has some money, if they were investing money in recruiting, if they had the means to do so, could they potentially, get some upgrades and make it more sexy for people to come to their respective places? Who knows? But something's got to give. I say Absolutely. All that to say.
Absolutely. And the tiered system that's being proposed in terms of revenue sharing, it works to close the gap. It works to keep your big dogs who are actually who have the potential to get poached. Let me say this again. Based on the brand, we're looking at Clemson and Florida State in particular here, the top two big dogs that get poached. Yeah. We're looking at them and saying, hey, this will keep them satisfied and quiet for now. But again, for now ain't forever. What 100%. Are you going to do to address these problems going forward? Because again, 120 is a lot to pony up. 120 million is a lot to pony up when you haven't prepared to do so. But now that these teams know,
1000%.
and they're looking, that's a very different ball game for you.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to an every school for itself mentality. It's giving that at the moment, but hopefully we can reconcile and figure some things out before it's all said and done. I love my conference, been here for a while, doing it a long time. I am loyal to the soil when it comes to it. I want people to put some respect on our names, but I also understand that sometimes good things have to evolve and change. And I'm with whatever, like whatever comes with it, I'm all about it. I will never, if UNC ever went to the Big Ten, I don't know I could do that. I'm not like, I feel for Maryland people. I could feel Maryland people of old still reminiscing about what should and could have been, right? I just don't see myself doing that, but I vibe. I go with the times. I just want to make sure we have jobs when this is all said and done.
We don't work for the ACC. Why do people don't put that in these people's heads? Do not put that in these people's heads. By the way, y'all do realize that both of us, for the people who said we work for the ACC, both of us had shows for universities or still have shows now. I promise you, whatever happens to the ACC, NC State will still be here. Like, I'll still record with Grayson Boone on the regular. I promise you, before she handed it off to Isaac Shade, Candace was just fine covering UNC.
But I ain't got no show no more. So, like, don't let me catch a stray and you have me out here with no job now.
Well, listen, we'll invite you on Locked On NC State.
Ain't that crazy? How did I catch an unnecessary stray?
I'm just saying.
That's crazy.
All I'm saying, don't hit me with the Nene Leaks. Now, why am I in it?
Now, why am I in it?
You know why you in it.
Woo, child, this finna be the ghetto for real because I'm gonna be out here. Do you want to be a part of the conference? Like, what the hell?
Listen, all I'm saying is, folks are saying we getting paid by the ACC. Phillips hit my line.
I wish we were.
Phillips hit my line. You owe me some back pay, buddy. If I'm carrying your water, you owe me some back pay. If I'm lying and deceiving the people intentionally, you owe me some. But which I would like to posit this question, and this is the last time I speak because I know I've been going on many tangents during this show, and this is going to be my last one. Which one is more likely? That I am telling you tall tales, that I am telling you, hey, all of this airtightness that we talked about when originally conference realignment came up is a sham and a farce, and I've lied to you all along, and that these universities have stayed in the ACC out of the kindness of their hearts. All of these universities could all go to the Big Ten and SEC, but I'm the one lying to you, and they have stuck with making $30 million less. These universities have forfeited $30 million apiece out of the kindness of their hearts. Or maybe there is something holding them together. Maybe there is something beyond happy feelings, in the words of Frankie Beverly and Mays, holding them together. Maybe there's more.
There is something. It's called the damn grant of rights. All right, whoop, there it is. Now, if you want to figure out more, if you want to leave more comments, we might read them again at the end of the week because I didn't even get through half, not even a third of what people were saying throughout this bad boy. But I want to put it in a nice little bow. Make sure you download, subscribe to the podcast from anywhere you listen. We have been talking about realignment. We've been talking about Caleb Love. We've been talking about different schools and whether or not they need to sit down and eat their food or whether or not they need to go ahead and prosper. We've been talking about what do they actually have to gain. There's been so many conversations, ESPN, if you're listening, that we would love to just continue to talk about throughout the rest of the week. So make sure that you're locked and dialed in because maybe there is just resolution. If we say F it, we could look at it a whole new way, spin it and say, leave. Now what? We're better off without you. Let's figure out on tomorrow's episode, shall we? For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs. Until next time.